Hi everybody, welcome to the show. My name is Amanda Ostrander. I am a teacher-turned-homeschool mom, and this is Raising A to Z. It is a place where we talk all things homeschooling, and today I'm going to show you the curriculum that I'm going to be using with my first grader next year. I can't even believe that I'm saying this. But next year, my youngest is going to be in first grade. For the first time ever in my homeschooling journey, I will not have a kindergartner. It's kind of profound for me. So, Zoe, my youngest, is turning 6 in a couple of days, like literally turning 6 in a couple of days. And that means that technically, if she were in school, she would be in first grade in September. And I don't know how to feel about that, being honest, because for the first time in our homeschooling journey, I won't have a kindergartner. So I'm okay with it. Let me make this clear. I'm very okay. I'm very excited that she's like progressing and moving up and all of that. But it's just a little bit, it feels like a milestone for me as a homeschool mom that I won't have any kindergartners, because I feel like a lot of people, kindergarten is, for a lot of places, especially like in here in Ontario, it's very optional, and it's kind of like, it's play-based and it's a lot of play and everyone seems to be okay with it. But when you hit grade 1, like, it feels like a milestone, because now you're like officially in school and officially needing to like be hitting certain criterias, and it feels like a big step. So yes, I'm gonna have a first grader. I'm coming to terms with it emotionally, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see what we can do, excited to try some new things, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing in terms of curriculum for my first grader. I'm going to show you and talk to you about what we're doing and why I'm doing it and why I picked it. So I'm going to start with language arts, because I feel like that is a good place to start. So for the past couple of years, we have been using chalkboard publishing. I found these chapters originally, and I fell in love with them because they had that K-1 level, which I really liked as like a stepping stone when your kids know their alphabet, but they also are stepping into like, they're not quite ready to learn like words and phonics yet. I found it was a kind of a very nice stepping stone. Found them, have loved them. And so that's what I'm using for her language arts work this year. So we have, what do I got? We have grade 1 spelling. Sorry, that is not spelling. That is phonics. This is spelling. So she's going to do level 1 phonics. I like to do the phonics first. So the first half of the term, she does phonics. And then the second half, she gets into the spelling, which is kind of like implementing the phonics, lessons that she's already learned. She doesn't necessarily do them together. Like she's not doing 3 different workbooks. She's doing one and then the other. She's going to do phonics, which I really like. It's very simple, but it also it kind of really reinforces those things. And then she's going to get into doing her first spelling book and working on some spelling big words. So that is going to be a big thing for us, because right now she's not spelling words at all. Unless she I'm writing them out for her. So this would be like a big step. So that's what we're doing, phonics and spelling wise. And then we're going to start getting into the grade 1 daily language skills. This is very much like I call it our grammar book, because that's exactly what it is. It is like short lessons, very short lessons. So here the lesson is: a sentence is a group of words that make sense. Write the words in order to make a sentence that makes sense. And so it has red, pen, I, see, my. Putting them into an order that makes sense, and doing things like making sure there's a capital at the beginning, period at the end, things like that. And as you go through, you're getting into verbs, adjectives, nouns, things like that. And I like it because it's not a lot. It's very simple little, we typically do 1 page, but you could do just like a little chunk every day. We do 1 page kind of 3 or 4 times a week, which is nice. And then it also does have some writing activities. So here's write a missing poster. What do you need to include? So that's what she's going to be doing in terms of grammar. I also this year am going to be doing I think like once a week, we're going to do like a sit down writing time. So this is something new that I'm implementing. So I haven't printed it all off yet because it's like 100 pages. But I purchased the Jot It Down program from Brave Writer. I have heard nothing but good things about Brave Writer. And so I love everything that they stand for on their website. When I read through it, when I've heard people talk about it, it is everything that I would love in a writing language arts program. So we're going to start and test it out this year. We're going to try the Jot It Down program, which is basically a whole series of writing tasks and like projects you can do. For every project, like let's say the project is writing a story. There is like, for week 1, here's what you have to do on week 1. Here's what you do on week 2. Here's what you do on week 3. Here's what you're doing on week 4, and boom, you're done. So it has a whole, I think it's 10 activities that you can do. And the nice thing about it is it's like a reusable thing. So you can just have the kids do the same activity, but they can change the topic, they can change the focus, they can change the characters, the settings, or you can change it up every time to make it different, and then just expect them to do a little bit more. So I'm going to be using this with both my kids, and obviously doing a lot of help with Zoe because she's 6 and she's still learning to write, and then having Alexi, my older one, do a lot of it independently. So I'm going to do this, and I'm very excited to see what we accomplish with Jot It Down. So that's my plan for language arts. For math, I always get a lot of questions about what are we going to use for math. Again, this year we're going with math lessons for a living education. I really like this program because it's very colorful, has lots of different activities. I like that it's spiraled, so different concepts come back routinely throughout, just kind of like sprinkled in. I have a whole like review on math lessons for living education. I'll put that like link over here. We do love this program. If you notice, it is a level 2, which is technically like a grade 2 level, but Zoe's working about a year in advance. So she probably won't start. We're still working on her grade 1. I think she'll probably start this like in October. She like won't jump right into it. But it's a very gentle program, and it's just, you know, it's just a really pretty nice program. I don't do the stories. I skip those. I find them a little bit time consuming, but I do I do all of like the like math part, all of the workbook parts, and very excited. This year they've implemented something new. So I brought this from Learning House. I actually got most of my curriculum from Learning House or from the companies directly this year. So from the Learning House here in Canada, they're a homeschool supply company. I bought this, and then you can buy just this book, which is great. Like that's another reason why I love this. It's very affordable. You can buy just the workbook, but one of the biggest complaints about math for living education has always been that sometimes there's just not enough practice. Or they want some parents who want some quizzes or something like that. Well, this year you can get the package. So this is the Practice Makes Perfect like guide that goes with it. So this goes with this. They're made to go together. I am so excited. Basically, it is like a very small little workbook. It has extra practice for all of the concepts you're learning in the main book, as well as 4 quizzes. So you can do the quizzes, you can not do the quizzes, it's up to you. But if you need extra practice, you're not going and having to look for worksheets that go with it. You're not having to try to figure out, you know, other ways to teach it. You literally just pull this out if your kid needs a little bit of extra help. And if your kid doesn't, and they're just like blowing through this, and you get to the summer and you homeschool all year round like us, and maybe you're not quite ready to move on to another grade for whatever reason, this would be a great like review or summertime program. So even if you don't use it a lot throughout the year, it would be awesome for over the summer. So I'm super excited. Zoe is my animal lover, so she's gonna love that. It has a dog on it, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do math, we've done language. Time to get into the other subjects. So if you follow me for any amount of time, or if you've ever watched any of our videos, you know that I am a big fan of unit studies for science and social studies. And that's what we're gonna do again. the kids pick some topics and we are excited to jump into them. We have some sciencey topics. We have some history, geography, social studies type of topics. And I'm very, very excited to do our unit studies with those. I'm not going to talk about that too much because I'm going to do a whole video in a week or two about all the topics that we're going to do and all the resources about those topics. But we are going to do some really cool fun things. They're going to be so excited and they're already asking me when can we start. So that is how we handle science and social studies. I just find it, most of my resources are going to come from Teachers Pay Teachers, although I did purchase a few things from other companies, which I'm excited to try. See how they work out. And yeah, that's what we're doing. Science and social studies, unit studies. It's going to be great. My kids are going to love it. Then we're going to do French. So when it comes to French with Zoe, it's a little bit of a different story. Alexi is going to do something different. I'm going to talk about what Alexi, my 3rd grader, is going to be doing next week. But what Zoe is doing is going to be a little bit different. So my mother-in-law comes over and gives the kids a French lesson once a week. It's like an hour and a half where she reads stories and sings songs with them in French. It's great. Zoe is encouraged to participate. Zoe is a little bit stubborn. She, for some reason, has decided she doesn't really like the French language, despite knowing it and understanding it decently. She refuses to speak it and is not very happy about being in French. So just having her in the room where she's absorbing it is kind of the best bet that I have for her right now. The other thing that we have working with her or working against her is that Zoe was recently started speech therapy. If you've ever heard her talk, she has a little bit of a slushiness to her talking. Like it sounds kind of messy. She was diagnosed with a lateral lisp, so she doesn't push the air through the front of her mouth. She pushes the air through the sides of her mouth. Where she got that, we don't know, because she doesn't have any of like the common reasons why you would have a lateral lisp. So she's got a weird thing going on. So she does speech therapy and she's doing it once a month, but it has homework. And it's a lot of work for her physically and mentally. She also has some issues with her hearing that we're in the process of figuring out what to do with. When she gets a cold, her ears swell or like filled with fluid. They don't swell, but they don't drain. So anytime she gets any kind of congestion, she's often struggles to hear us, which is also one of the reasons why she's in speech therapy, is because some sounds she can't tell the difference between for several weeks. And then and we were noticing this, we couldn't figure out why. It was she would do really, really well on her speech and then she would drop right off. And then she'd make huge strides and then she'd drop right off. And all those drop offs coincide with her having allergies or getting a cold. And so her ears just don't drain, or they take a very long time to drain. And so when she went in for a hearing test, she had one ear that was blocked, and it can take her like 6 weeks for it to drain. And during that time, her hearing drops from like a normal level down to almost a moderately hard of hearing. So she can't tell the difference between certain sounds, like a T sound and a K sound. She doesn't know the difference. She can't hear it. So we're working to get that resolved and on a wait list to see the doctor and all of that. And she's doing speech therapy. And because speech therapy is so much work for her, I'm not pushing her to do and to learn a second language right now. She's there. She's being immersed in it as much as she can be at this point. But in terms of like, okay, we're going to do workbooks and we're going to do other things, I just think it's too much because, like I said, we sit down 5 or 6 days a week and we do 15 to 20 minutes of like practicing how to make her sounds and whatever lessons that we're and homework that we're doing for speech therapy. So that's what we're doing with her in terms of French or a second language. Is just not a priority right now. We want to get her communicating properly and better with more people. So that's kind of our focus. And then when it comes to our last subject, the arts, I don't really have curriculum for that, but she's going to be doing choir, which she loves to do. Hopefully she doesn't smack anybody with a palm branch this year, because that certainly happened at Easter. Just smacking the kid next to her with a palm branch. But she loves to do choir, and she loves to participate in whatever art projects that we're doing. So I'm hoping to like just incorporate some different art projects. I think I'm going to try to incorporate them with the jotted down, like either making something that goes with it, or like a title page, and trying different art styles for illustrating styles for our writing work. And so that's what she's doing for art. Just exploring. She's only 6. She doesn't need direct art instruction at this point, but we're going to be exploring and looking and having fun with art and different art mediums. So that's it. This is what we're doing for 2023-2024 homeschool year with my first grader. I'm excited. I think she's going to be excited, and I can't wait to see how we handle the year. If you want to see what I'm doing with my third grader, you're definitely going to want to subscribe and click the bell, because I'm going to be doing that video next week. And if you want to follow along on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, you will definitely want to do that, because I post more in-depth views of all of these things on there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all next week. Bye.